Live from the Heartland Mamas studios, this is the Heartland Mamas podcast. I'm your host, Heidi Henry. The Heartland Mamas podcast is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and proudly part of the Demcast USA network. As of today, we have 326 days left to save the USA, so I hope you're doing everything you can to get Democrats elected up and down the ballot, flip the ballot over, and vote for your judges. Don't forget, get your votes in. We need to talk about Ukraine, and that's what our subject is today, and why it's important to stop Putin. I draw a lot of parallels between Putin's invasion of Ukraine and Hitler's invasion of Poland in 1939. See, we didn't stop Putin because we had a fascist uprising here in the United States in the 30s. So in 39, when he invaded Poland, we did nothing. And then he went on to invade Norway and Denmark and Belgium and the Netherlands and Luxembourg and France and Yugoslavia and Greece. And that's when we finally got involved. And we were in World War II at that point, because how many countries does it take to make a world war? Well, Hitler had collected quite a few, hadn't he? And we had done nothing to stop him. Nothing. We left it alone because we had fascism brewing in our country and separatism and America first and all of that nonsense. Well, let me tell you something. Putin has the same conquering ideas as Hitler. Putin wants the return of the USSR, the Universal Soviet Socialist Republic that he was born into, and he considers the breakup of the USSR to be a great failure to Mother Russia, a disgrace to Mother Russia. And he wants to rebuild it, to bring back those glory days of communism. And we all know what that looked like over there. And tomorrow we're going to talk about communism, so stay tuned. So Putin is no more entitled to the Ukraine than Hitler was to Poland or any of those other countries. And that's why we have to stop him. We have to stop him now and return Putin to Russia and the Ukraine to the Ukrainian people. And we can't let up on this. We just can't. Putin is insatiable. He wants everything he cannot have, and he's ready to roll over Ukraine to reach the rest of Europe and create his new USSR. We cannot allow that. World War II was fought by the greatest generation. It was the world against fascism. Had the USA prevented Hitler from going past Poland in 1939, we would have prevented World War II, but we didn't. We didn't. And the extreme right hand of the Republican Party is determined to aid and abet Putin to appease Trump, hand Europe over to Putin. And I can't fathom this. We already had a war about this. We won and fascism lost. So let's remember that, shall we? Last fall, talking about fascist uprisings here in the United States, last fall, the architect of January 6th, the insurrection that tried to overthrow our government and end our democratic processes, the architect of that, General Michael Flynn, was right here in Norway, Illinois, right here as a special guest of a church in our area. And he was here to drum up fascist support for his principles and for Trump. That's why he was here. That's why he was touring the country. And he came right here to the heartland. And you know what? Instead of being yelled at like the criminal he is, he was embraced and welcomed into my community, the community I reside in. And one of those people that welcomed him was Jed Davis, who I'm running against next November. So where does Jed Davis fall in all of this? He's been very silent about his attendance there with the dishonorable General Michael Flynn. And in that moment last fall, the day that Flynn was here, I thought about all the people who died on D-Day. All the people who died on those beaches of Normandy trying to save the world from fascism. And the dishonor, the people who welcomed Michael Flynn to Norway, Illinois, the dishonor to our veterans that they committed in that moment, forgetting the sacrifices made by their grandparents and parents and great-grandparents. to save us all from fascism. Completely forgotten in that moment because they wanted to embrace the guy that was backing Trump. The guy that almost made it possible for Trump to be a fascist dictator here in the United States. And further, Hitler, this is how Trump and Hitler and Putin, all the same, all this cut from the same cloth. Because online you can read about the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. And Project 2025 is modeled exactly after Hitler and what he did in Europe, rounding up his detractors and putting them into concentration camps and work camps and making them or breaking them and often exterminating them. And Project 2025 has Trump rounding up people from the opposing party, so I guess it would be me, and from the media, anybody who detracts from him, rounding us up and putting us into internment camps. He wants to bring back public executions of people like General Milley, who stood up to him and said, you know what, I'm not going to let you use the nuclear codes your last few weeks in office to start World War III, so I'm going to hide them away from you and protect the world. So General Milley is a hero. I may not have liked him too much when he was agreed to serve Trump, but I understand why he agreed now, because he knew someone like him is the only one that could save us from Trump, from World War III. Trump also plans re-education camps for the liberals, which I guess would include me, which means rounding up all the forward thinkers, all the LGBTQ plus people. He plans mass exportation of migrants and asylum seekers and the removal of assistance to the poor and the elderly and the infirm and the veterans so that they can die off the welfare rolls and free that money up so it can flow up to the top so we have our own oligarchy, which we already do. But he wants to free that money up by not feeding or providing medical care for those that have served and those that have paid in for all of their lives. They'll be forced birthing. I mean, women that are of childbearing age are going to be forced to give birth often, because after he kills off all those people, he's going to have little tin soldiers to do his bidding, isn't he? He will. So women, get ready, gird your loins. Gilead is here. He wants to end higher education for all but the elite and the wealthy. So people like me wouldn't be allowed to go to college. We wouldn't be allowed, no matter how intelligent anyone is, they wouldn't be allowed to have higher education. In fact, he intends to end public education for everyone, unless you have the money to pay for it. You know what will happen? We will end up entering a new dark age that would last 1,000 years. The peasants will work to support the wealthy and know their place of servitude. We think Ukraine is an anomaly, but it's not. It is a pattern repeating itself. The pattern of fascism, the pattern of harming, murdering, killing, because people are worthless unless they're wealthy and well-connected. Hitler did it. Putin is doing it. Trump wants to be all up in it. Jed Davis, I think, wants to be part of this new regime. Right? Why else would he be a guest of Michael Flynn's? Why else would he have Heritage Foundation meetings in the same strip mall as his office, his public office? Why would he attend those? Unless that's his vision too, right? The narrative of extremism and otherism, the plan in place and on the web for the whole world to see, this Project 2025, that outlines the embodiment of a fascist training program. And it's all there. And the media, the mainstream media, is doing nothing about it, not talking about it at all, God forbid. Not even his own media sources are bringing this up, because they know if the public knows about Project 2025, that there are fascists out there planning to overthrow our government and becoming a dictator on day one, which he's told us. He has told us, maybe on day one, I'll be a dictator. Once a dictator, always a dictator. So we have to be ready for this. The Heritage Foundation has told us what they are going to do, and we are doing nothing to prevent it. Fascism is up front in our face. They plan to end the United States as we know it and reinvent it only to serve the wealthiest and best connected. Ukraine is a war we must win. There should be no ability for Putin to rebuild the USSR by steamrolling through Ukraine to the rest of Europe. It is wrong for the Republicans to piss on the graves and call with disdain our veterans losers and chumps for dying on Utah and Omaha and Gold and Juno and Sword, for dying on D-Day to prevent the spread of fascism, not only in Europe, but across the world, and kicked it out of the shores, off the shores of the United States. And when Trump was right there 14 miles from the site on D-Day, just a few years ago, he would not go and honor our glorious war dead. Instead, he went back to his hotel because it was raining. What the hell? So fight for Ukraine. Call your senators and members of Congress. Let me give you the number, 202-224-3121. Stop fascism in its tracks. Do it now. Do not delay. Do it today. Do it as soon as you hear this, because we've seen this before and it is disgraceful and it's not going to happen again. It's up to you and I, the soldiers of the Renaissance, the tribe of the Renaissance, to prevent this from happening. And so from the edge of the Great Red Divide, this is Heidi Henry, and this has been the Heartland Mamas podcast. Have a great day.